Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I know these days it just seems like we're surviving the quarantine, right? We're just barely keeping our head above water. But what if we could thrive in quarantine? What if the survival could be thriving and we can do more um, loving communication, peace? And so the goal of today's show is to kind of talk our way through how to go through this in a way that doesn't feel so dense, how to go through this in a way that opens it up for you to actually feel more like you're thriving rather than just surviving.
This looks good.
It looks good. I like it.
I'm one of your hosts, Patricia Ribeiro Wolfson. Well, one of your soul guides. Yes, I guess host and soul guide.
And I am Linda Krause Barnett. We are so glad to have you on our show today.
Linda and I actually recorded a little snippet of what it's like to do a meeting now that we're in quarantine with our family all around us, because the reality for us, as it is for many of you, between homeschooling and all the other things, work and everything that's going on, things look very different. So here's a little snippet of what it looks like for us. I'm sorry, what was the question?
How many years did a Roman soldier commit to being of service?
Okay, hold on. Let me Google this before we go on. How many years?
Send it to Trish and she'll give it to him. He's right next door.
40 years. Doesn't sound right.
Look at the text my husband just sent your mama.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see.
Henry, look at this.
Oh my goodness! What is that?
It's an iguana! Can you tell she didn't want to do that?
That's amazing. Okay, let's see. Other soldiers, legionnaires had to serve in the army for 25 years.
So in addition to accessing it, she wants to be able to, she wants to be able to use it.
Where's Blue? Please close the door so he doesn't go in the bathroom in any of the rooms. Please go play with him.
So if I upload it to YouTube, can she save it?
Absolutely. If you,
Okay.
She should be able to download it from you, but she
Okay.
can save the link, and then the link is active.
Okay, so then she just gives people the link. Okay,
Yes,
so I'm going to share my screen with you.
Okay. Hope you enjoyed that little slice of our reality.
That is reality. That's reality for so many of us right now, right? We've got kids screaming in the background. We've got sometimes musical instruments. We've got all
dogs,
all kinds of noises in the background. I've seen people be very creative with where they hold their businesses and meetings. Some are in closets, some are in, I did a Zoom call from my bedroom yesterday because that was the only place where there wasn't anybody else. And so, yeah, it looks a little different. It certainly feels a lot different. And how do we make sense of it all and find peace in so much chaos?
And it really is, I think that the peace that we can come to, the biggest peace that we can come to is accepting that we're in chaos. And moment to moment, it's going to change, and it will potentially always feel overwhelming, but hopefully there are pockets in your day that you can find some semblance of peace. The funny thing is, for me personally, is I've come to realize, and I don't know if that comes with age or evolution or with now my intuitive abilities kind of kicking in, but I am much more sensitive to everything, and I am much more sensitive to sound. Now, I am someone, if you knew me in my 20s, that I would literally play music, blaring, be on the phone, chatting with 16 different people at the same time, and I thrived in that environment. And right now, the idea of that literally makes me want to split my head open. In a home with 3 boys, it gets a little loud, and everybody likes to sing and verbalize and knock on things and talk and scream, and the dog barking, and I'm just it feels like I'm headed towards an insane asylum some days.
Yeah, exactly. And especially, so many of us are trying to actually run an online business of some sort. And so, it's not exactly easy to do, except I will say that there's a lot of comfort in knowing that we're all in this together, and that you know, you're showing up with kids in the background just as everybody else is showing up. Everybody's got their animals, their kids, their whatever it is, you know, very few people. And if they don't have it, they're sympathetic to it because they understand that there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So I think that that's also freeing, is to know that, you know, it's acceptable because it's such a global experience. It's something we don't have to explain why the kids are there, why the dogs are barking, because it's just, everybody can kind of come in with ease knowing that, yeah, stuff's going on. We get it. No worries, you know, so that takes some of the pressure off.
Absolutely. And today is going to be part one of thriving with your family. And hopefully this will be useful, not just for during quarantine, but as things evolve and people start to go back to work or are able to work from home, you know, as we move forward, these tips will hopefully also support that in, you know, becoming closer with your family and building relationships with your family and changing the family dynamic or the family environment at home. Because in many cases, we are all being faced with sort of like the cracks in our current situation or circumstances. And, you know, you may find that things are coming up right now because everything's in your face. And hopefully some of these tips, both for part one today, and the next video that we do will be part two. Hopefully some of those will help you in managing, and not just managing, but learning how to thrive with your family under any circumstance. And the first thing that I want to say is, please, please, please don't judge yourself. Don't judge yourself for having a wonderful time in quarantine. You know, if things are going well and you're figuring things out and you have a routine and you're being creative, that's amazing. And the reason I say don't judge yourself is because you may be seeing on social media, you know, people struggling, and you may be feeling guilty that you're kind of enjoying this time with your family. If that's you, please don't feel guilty. And on the same token, if you are on a different side of the spectrum and you are having a miserable time and you can't seem to find a routine and you're not doing any arts and crafts and your kids are on iPads or other screens all day, please don't judge yourself. This is an unprecedented time and an unprecedented situation. So we are all in survive mode, and some of this information I'm hoping to pass to you is going to help you thrive. You know, that's really my intention. But if you don't find that this is helping you thrive, that's okay too, because we are all living this traumatic situation together. We are all processing this situation differently. We all have different levels of fear, anxiety, and pressures. You may be struggling at home because of finances or because of sick relatives or people being sick right at home. And you may be struggling for any number of reasons right now. And that is where you have to add compassion. Be gentle with yourself. Do not judge the situation that you are in. What I most want you to embrace is where you're at is okay. Wherever you're at, it's okay. And I'm going to be sharing some of these tips. And it's really just something I'd like you to apply what you can when you can. During this whole time, just do the best that you can. And some days are going to be amazing, and some days are going to be terrible. Well, forget about days. Some moments are going to be amazing, and some moments are going to be terrible. And that's okay. That's okay. It happens in my house too. I have 3 boys here at home, 4 if you count my husband, and he was sick during this time. So it was super challenging for, you know, almost 5 weeks where I was navigating his illness and what the kids needed and homeschooling. There was a lot going on. And there's plenty of people who are out there who have a much worse situation than I had. And there's plenty of people out there who have a much better situation than I had. Whatever is happening for you is true for you and is the situation that you just need to embrace. You are where you are. Other people are where they are. And all of that is okay. So my tips, which I shared in the Soul Seeker Summit, there's actually 7 tips. And so we're going to do 2 videos. We're going to do part 1 today, which will cover the first 3 tips. And then we'll do part 2 on Thursday. And that will be, or, you know, in a couple of days, depending if you're watching this on replay. and it's going to be the last 4 tips. What we're going to cover today and in 2 days or the next video is these thriving tips. So we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about being flexible, cultivating a team mentality, and that gratitude is your superpower. And in part 2, the video that comes in a couple of days, so make sure that you're subscribing if you have not subscribed already to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/soulseekerstv. Please subscribe now so that you can be notified, and also ding the bell so that you can be notified of the next video that's up. We're going to talk about being flexible. So this is nothing like anything we've ever seen before in our lifetime. And I can tell you from my personal experience, that I have felt the intense pressure to get things done, right? I'm home. All my clothes should be clean. All my dishes should be washed. My house should be impeccable because I'm here all the time. Although, I guess that's kind of the plight of the stay-at-home mom, or in my case, work-from-home mom, but still applies, where you always feel this pressure that because you're home, things should be done. But in this climate, more than in any other climate before, you need to go easy on yourself and give yourself some grace. You won't be able to do everything, first of all, because everybody's kids are old. So the expectation of you getting things done or being productive, or perhaps, being able to organize the closets. And here's the thing with social media is that you go on social media and you see people baking bread, which I have done, which I'm really proud of. But you see people like baking bread or making cupcakes with their kids or doing art projects and, or, seemingly having this whole quarantine thing figured out. And you may be looking at yourself and looking around your house and going, well, I don't have a handle on this thing. And clearly I'm the only one. And you're not. You're not the only one who is struggling right now with what's happening in your home, with all of the relationships and the intricacies that go with the relationships of the people in your home, your children, your spouse, the sibling rivalry. Everybody's up in each other's business, and it makes everything that much more tense. It makes everything that much more challenging. And then you add the fear that everybody might have, the uncertainty that people have, the financial strain that people have. You heighten all of that frustration, anxiety, and it can come from you as a parent, and it can come from your children. They're not at school. They don't know when they're going to see their friends again. All these drive-by birthday parties are awesome, but it's not replacing the fact that they want to physically be in the same room with their friends and run and play and do sports or do their dancing or do whatever it is their extracurricular activities are. Kids are missing that. It may show up in many different ways. It may show up in them being angry with their siblings. It may show up in more violence with each other. It may show up in them being rude and disrespectful to you. It may show up in tantrums, depending on how old your child is. It may show up in backtalk and sassiness, and it may show up in just plain refusal to listen to you. And that is hard as a parent, because here we are trying to manage everything and balance everything, and our kids don't give us a break. But it's not because they're trying to be jerks, even though that feels like that sometimes. It's because they're also doing the best they can in this situation that they feel is uncertain. And it's not like they're feeling confidence necessarily coming from us. And again, that's not to blame you. Like, you need to have a confident and comfortable way about you right now to instill confidence in your children. You know what? Nobody's feeling confident right now. The doctors and the scientists aren't even feeling confident because they don't know what the hell's going on. So if they, who actually have more information than we do, are not feeling confident in what's happening, how can we? So all we can do is give our love and our support, and we can hold space. Our job is to, as best as we can, give love to our children no matter what's happening. And we're going to be stressed out, and we're going to lose our minds, and we're going to yell, and we're going to scream, and we're going to say things that we regret, and we're going to be like, oh my God, I'm giving my children so many topics for therapy later. And I'm saying that because I feel that way very often. But if the love you give to your children outweighs the fear that may seep through in these unprecedented times, then you're still doing your job. And if you're sitting there going, I don't know if it outweighs it, do the best you can with what you have. And when you are able to do more or better in terms of giving more love, then you do that when you can. And don't you for 1 second judge yourself for not. So here's what the being flexible is too, right? You got to be flexible in each day because it's not going to look the same. And even though you might want a routine, or maybe you're someone who has that, poster up in the house that says like 9 a.m. this and 10 a.m. this. I'm not one of those people, I confess, as much as I try to be. And I really wish I was. I'm not. But I have found that having a rough routine, so it's like homework is in the mornings, and then afternoon is for play, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes my kids sit down to do their homework in the morning and they're overwhelmed. They just can't focus. They are having trouble. And so sometimes the best thing for them to do is to put things down, go and play for a little bit, and come back to it when they have a refreshed mind. And that may be the case for you too. Maybe you're working on something and you just can't seem to figure it out because you're stressed, you're answering emails, you're trying to, feed your children, and you're like ready to lose your mind. That is not the mind that can come up with solutions to whatever you're trying to figure out. So in those times, shut down whatever it is you're doing and walk away from it and do something that is fun, or do something that's engaging to a different part of your mind. If you're doing something logical, do something creative. If you're doing something, that's creative, maybe that's frustrating you because it can. Like as I'm, most of my work is creative. I edit and all this, and sometimes I just can't figure things out. It's just not working. And I need to put that down and maybe organize something. That's more of like, a logical thing. But if you switch the brain that switch the side of your brain that you're working from, or at least switch your perspective, it allows that other part of you to release the pressure so that when you come back to it, you're able to come at it from a different perspective, from a different energy, from a different place. Consider that stress and anxiety will affect how things go. So no matter if you think something's going to take 20 minutes or 15, add double that time. Because with all of the things happening at home and everyone being at home, you have to expect interruptions. You have to expect things taking more time. You have to expect, throwing up your hands in the air and saying, I can't do this way. And if you have that as an expectation, or at the very least, if you're not expecting it, but you're allowing for that time, then you won't feel so stressed. And, there are going to be some things that have time constraints. If you're working from home and you have a boss that's expecting an email or a report or something from you at a certain time, you are going to have a time constraint. But do what you can to give yourself the space to allow for you to be able to let something go and come back to it before that time ends. And figure out what works best for you. This has actually been the thing that I've been trying to do with my kids as much as possible, is we've been toying with what is most productive for them. Is it to do their homework first thing in the morning? Is it to do their homework all day and just do like little sections and take breaks throughout the day? Like, we're still testing that out. We're still trying to figure that in. So when we're flexible with our day, we are able to test things out with an open mind, and you may be surprised and find that something works. The next, cultivate a team mentality. People, we are all in this together. And I know that's something that's being said over and over and over again, but especially in your home, nothing could be more true. You have to cultivate a team mentality. And in order to do that, you have to work towards a common goal. And so we try to work towards something together. Okay, our goal is to watch a movie, have a movie night tonight. So we want to have a movie night by 7:00. What do we all need to do during our day in order to make that common goal happen? We've worked on getting everybody to contribute to the house because everyone's home. And although, when the kids are at school, you may have had a certain routine at home, but right now things are very, very, very different. They are on a whole other level. And so it is important to allow your children to contribute. And I say allow because you would be surprised at how much it means to them to work towards something at home. You know, my 7-year-old, I, have him cleaning up the dishes or loading the dishwasher or actually physically washing like the dishes. And he feels so empowered by that. I'll be like, okay, you clean up the downstairs, you clean up this, you make, the beds or whatever. And everybody has something to do and everybody can feel productive, because even though left to their own devices, they may go watch a screen or watch TV, well, I guess TV is a screen, but they may go on their iPads or they may go watch TV. If they're given responsibilities, even if they kind of kick and scream about it at the beginning, the truth is that they want to feel like they're a part of things, that they're a part of the family, that they're contributing towards something. And especially, like I said, if you have a common goal, then it just supports that even more. Okay, guys, here's what we want to do today. And we do that a lot here. It's like, we'll plot out the day. Here's what we want to do. So if we want to get this, we are big fans of movie nights. If we want to do the movie night, here's what needs to be done today. Okay. And sometimes I'll have them say, who wants to clean this up? And they'll volunteer, or then I'll assign work or jobs for them or responsibilities, so that I'll be like, okay, if you work on this and you work on this, then I can do this and we can do this faster. And that's really what it comes down to, is I explain to them, look, I'm happy to do all of this and I've done it, but if I'm the one doing everything, then we're not going to have a together moment at night, because I'm going to be too busy trying to do all the stuff. So let's make this so that everybody contributes so we can all have fun later. And they want us to be a part of things with them. So if you create the environment and let them know how to achieve what it is that they want, then they will work towards achieving it with you, even if that means them taking more responsibility than they're used to. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to teach them independence and to teach them kind of how to contribute to a home and eventually how to contribute to society. We need to work on this together. It's really important. The biggest thing that I talk about is choosing a powerful family GPS word. Okay, now I have a whole workshop on this, and it's called the Family Reset. And I am really, really passionate about having people have like totem words. I guess that's the best way to describe it. I call it sometimes like a grounding word, but it's like a totem for the family. What do you want to achieve as a family? How do you want to feel together, right? And the process, the process that I take my clients through, or in the workshop, the way that we go through it is you sit down with your family and you get their input and say, like, if your children are younger, it's going to be a different process. And in fact, I use drawing a lot. And I'll tell you right now, one of the things that I recommend is, sit down with your kids and say, draw a picture of your most fun memory of us as a family, right? And so they draw that picture. And if your kids are older, you can just say, like, what are some of your favorite memories of us? It's a way to open up the conversation without it feeling heavy. Like, how do you want the family to feel? I mean, that's the point, but if you want to make it so that it becomes more of a discussion, that's important. So once you have the image, whether it's a picture or a conversation, and knowing what everybody's favorite memory is, then the next thing you can say is, what's your favorite, draw a picture of your favorite thing that we do all the time. Right? So my kids, it's definitely movie nights, as you've probably gathered. But for your family, it may be something else. It may be dinners. It may be walks in the park. It may be whatever it is for you. Have each member of the family, and that includes you and your partner, if you have a partner, where you either draw a picture. I mean, why not? Make it fun. Or talk about what your favorite memories are and what is your favorite thing to do as a family. And then from there, especially if the kids are older, you can talk about how those memories and how that favorite activity that you do makes you feel. And that's really what the purpose of this exercise is. So if you have little kids, you show them a picture and say, why do you love this memory? What was so special about that day? Oh, I loved all the adventures we went on. well, what about the adventures made it special? Oh, because you went on the rides with me. You know, I'm picking Disney for my family, which was my kid's favorite memory. You guys went on the rides with us and it was so much fun. And, you know, and so you go and you dig deeper and deeper to get what is that core feeling that brings them joy within, you know, the parameters of your family. And maybe togetherness, it may be fun, it may be adventure, it may be whatever it is, right? So then you get the input from each member of the family, so everybody feels like they've contributed. And eventually you're going to have a, you know, a collection of words: respect, love, fun, getting along, whatever it is. And you narrow it down to the things that correlate to everyone, right? So let's say like somebody wrote getting along and somebody wrote, you know, everyone's nice. So then you're like, okay, so like, you know, our relationship together is important. So, you know, everyone getting along, everyone having fun. In my house, what we narrowed it down to was love and respect. Okay, I'll admit it. I narrowed it down to love and respect. But the kids agreed that there was a lot of, you know, especially among the sibling rivalry, there was a lot of feeling of lack of respect, or that's how it ended up. You know, we kind of figured out that that's where it was coming from. Like, I don't feel listened to, I don't feel heard, I don't feel like my brother's, you know, whatever, right? Or I don't feel like my sister's, whatever your situation is. So you get down to the core feeling, and then as a family you decide, how do you want to feel? Well, for us, we want to feel like this home is loving and respectful. And then we introduce that language as much as possible every day. Are you making a loving and respectful choice? Is this a loving and respectful activity? You know, and you start to work it in. Now, I know that for some, you know, for some kids, it may feel kind of like school, right? Like, you know, the kinds of things that they do at school, and maybe they're going to resist that. Well, then you figure out a way to pinpoint the emotion that you know your child wants to feel. And it could be freedom, it could be love, it could be any number of things. But figure out what is the key emotion that you think collectively your family needs the most. What does everybody need? And it could be, I want to feel listened to. So then you create an environment where people feel listened to. So if there's a fight, you say, okay, everybody wants to feel listened to here. So let's sit down and we're going to let, you know, this person talk first, and then the other person will talk. And that way we all feel listened to, and hopefully we'll come up with a solution together. So that is one of the reasons why it's really important to have a GPS word. Because with the GPS word, which is what I call it, the GPS word, because it's like you always know your destination, right? Our destination is loving and respectful. So that's our GPS word is the word that's going to take us to our destination. I want loving and respectful, so that your GPS is always like, okay, recalibrating. We got off track a little bit. Let's get back to where we need to go. So if you're interested in that, you can also let me know. If you're interested in learning about the Family Reset Workshop, let me know, and I will absolutely send you information when the next Family Reset Workshop happens. You have definitely survived some stuff that's happening out there. You have survived it. So you need to make a list of all the things that you've survived: big, small, significant, or insignificant. Now, I'm going to tell you my example, and it's going to seem like such a silly, ridiculous example. So I'm going to come back to me for a second. This is a silly example, but it wasn't silly for me at the time. So when I was in high school and I was 16, and I'm like, what grade was I in? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I think it was was it my last year of high school? It might've been. I got a part. I got the lead part in the school play. I played Jesus in Godspell. Yes, I went to a Catholic school, and they allowed a woman to play Jesus. So go Philip Pocock. I also got a job at Canada's Wonderland. So for those of you who are not Canadian and don't know Canada's Wonderland, it's basically like Canada's version of Walt Disney. However, we have different characters, but I won't go into that. It's more the Hanna-Barbera characters, not the Disney characters, for obvious reasons. Okay, so I got a job as a singer at Canada's Wonderland, which started practicing in May. So I was still in school, and I literally had to go to my math class in the morning, and then I would leave right after math. I would drive to school. I would drive to Canada's Wonderland. I would have a rehearsal for the rest of the day. I would drive back to school, have play practice, and then have to go home and do my homework and get the whole thing started again. And I had shows on the weekends because Canada's Wonderland opened on the weekends. So I had shows on the weekends. And then I had to also navigate the play, which then had its opening night and all that stuff. And I remember at that time saying to myself, because I was stressing out, I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. The schedule was crazy because all those classes that I was missing, I wasn't exempt from. I had to do the work from all the classes. I'm really grateful that my math class was in the morning because I needed the lessons in math. But for all the other classes, I had to ask my teachers for permission to be able to miss the class and then just make up for the homework. And all of that responsibility was on my shoulders when I was 16. And I remember saying to myself, if I get through this, I can get through anything. And I still refer to that time today because I remember thinking, there's no way I'm going to get through this. And at the same time, I thought, if I can do this, then I will never doubt my ability to get through something again. Now, I am absolutely positive that you have a situation in your life where you experience that exact same thing, where you had no concept of being able to actually overcome whatever was happening in life, whether it was just a challenge or a tragedy or a traumatic event or something that happened to you that you didn't think that you could survive. And yet here you are. And you may not be past it where you're fully healed and wonderful, but you are here and you are working towards getting healed every day. And there may be situations in your life from when you were a kid that you were like, oh my God, that was the most intense time. I didn't think I could do it. Or maybe it's from 2 years ago and you had some sort of illness or someone you loved went through something and you were there for them and you didn't think that you could get through it, and yet you did. So take the time as a family to really, or by yourself. It doesn't have to be as a family, but especially for you, if you are watching this, it's something that resonates with you. Make a list of all the things you've survived and add moments that you didn't think you'd get through and that your family made it easier. Because we have those too, right? Like we had a really tough time and, with the support of our parents or our kids or our cousins or our family, friends, whoever, they helped us through just by their love and support. And remind yourself that even though we're in the thick of this craziness, we do have the love and support of our family, or at least I hope you do. I hope you do. And if you don't have the support of your family or anybody who you feel loves you and can support you, then please reach out, because we at Soul Seekers have been trying to build a community to let you know that you are not alone. And you are not alone. And although you may feel abandoned because there's stuff going on in your life that makes you feel that way, we truly are all in this together, and we will help you and support you in any way that we can. So the next one is gratitude is your superpower. And this is a great thing for us to end on for today, because I am so passionate about this. So here I say, thank you is the magic word. Okay. People will do more if they feel appreciated. People will appreciate you in return. Gratitude literally solves almost 90% of relationship problems, is to have gratitude for the person that you're with. And the reason I say that is because the biggest complaint I hear from everybody, men and women, is that they don't feel appreciated in society right now, is that, women are in charge of their children's schedule and everything going on in the home and taking care of scheduling and what's happening and extracurricular activities and school notes and putting things on the calendar and making sure people get to their appointments on time. That usually falls in the hands of women. And then, of course, if they're working, they have the additional stress of their jobs and the things that they need to do for their jobs, and also home maintenance and cleaning and cooking and laundry and all that stuff. A lot of it will fall into women's plates, right? And so when you're working that hard, constantly, 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 it's really easy to feel undervalued and feel like, you know what, I don't think I'm getting appreciated for all the crap I do in this house. I don't feel like I am getting, you know, the proper recognition for how I contribute to this household. That is the main thing I hear from people. I don't think he appreciates me. I don't think she values me. I don't think, you know, that, you know, I can continue like this because I feel overwhelmed and I just feel like I'm alone. How many of you are out there at moms feel alone and isolated because you have so much on your shoulders, and we're just not in an environment in society today to be reaching out for help? It needs to change, but it does feel like that you're kind of isolated. And then of course we're always like, well, you know, my partner is working and maybe they work more hours than you, and so you're like, well, I guess it falls on me because, you know, they're working. And that certainly happens to me in my home. Like, you know, I work from home, so I'm always here. And so when my husband comes home, I may want him to do stuff, but then I'm like, he was working all day, and I, you know, I should give him a break to just kind of relax when he comes home from day, so he has a chance to unwind. But I'm super grateful because he doesn't see things that way, and he'll come home and be like, what do you need? And he turns on dad hat immediately. And I'm able to be like, okay, I really need you to just do this for me because I'm up to here with everything that's happening. And that may not be your situation at home, but I'll tell you that one of the reasons that I think that my husband continues to show up for me in the way, you know, show up for our family in the way that he has, is because I make it a point to thank him for everything. Oh my God, thank you for taking out the garbage. Oh my God, thank you for watching the kids. Oh my God. Now, I don't want this to be like, thank you for watching the kids because he's babysitting, because he's their dad and he's not babysitting. But just like you might want validation for me, you know, for feeding your children, he may want validation for spending time with them too. He may want to spend time with them, and let's hope he or she, your partner, whoever you're with, you know, may enjoy spending time with the children. But if you say to them, oh my God, thank you so much for, you know, I love watching you spend time with the kids, and it was really nice for me to get a break while you spent some time with them. There's nothing wrong with appreciating something, even if it's their job or their responsibility. Like I said with the garbage, you know, Scott generally takes out the garbage, and every time he takes out the garbage, I thank him. Because what happens when you appreciate not just your spouse or your partner, but your children, and you say, thank you so much for doing the dishes. Thank you so much for clearing the table. Oh my God, I'm so happy and so grateful that you know, put away your room today. I am so grateful that you did your homework right away like we planned. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That gratitude, that graciousness will be received in a beautiful and loving way, and it will make them want to continue to contribute. It will make them want to continue doing the things that you are thanking them for, because you are giving them the good feelings for doing these things. And so they're going to want to continue having good feelings like, oh, you know, mommy really loves it when I, you know, clean up the kitchen. And I've had my own children be like, okay, you know, my youngest will be like, I'm cleaning up the kitchen by myself, just me, nobody else, because he wants the recognition on his own for cleaning up the kitchen. And that's a beautiful thing. Well, then sometimes it turns into a fight because his brothers want to help and he doesn't let them, but that, you know, that's another story. But everybody wants to be appreciated, and the more they're appreciated, the better they feel about themselves, and the more that they will contribute. And that is essential for us being home all together and stuck at home, is for people to feel valued and appreciated in a time where everything feels so uncertain and so scary. Another thing that I want to mention, and I'm going to share my screen once again because it's important, it's a little bit of a shift. Energy flows where attention goes. So if you have a gracious atmosphere at home, then the energy in your home will grow in graciousness, right? The gratitude in your home will increase with each person who shows that they are grateful, right? Doesn't that make sense? So if I say, oh my God, thank you so much for doing this, then your children are going to start emulating you, because it is not what you're saying. You need to thank your brother because of blah, blah, blah. It's what you're doing. And what it does is it sets the example. It sets the example literally because you're setting an example, but then energetically, it sort of sets things in motion so that the atmosphere at home is lighter. It is an atmosphere of gratitude, of lightness, of feeling blessed. And you know, I don't know what your situation is, and you may not feel blessed in your situation. You may have someone in the hospital. You may have had someone pass away. You may have been fired from your job, and everything sucks right now. And you really cannot find anything to be grateful for. But I urge you to focus on whatever it is that you have that brings you any monicum of joy. Okay, anything that's happening, because no matter how devastating things may be, there is always hope. There is always something that you can embrace, right? So look, it's really hard. You know, if it was easy to always stay focused on that, you know, high vibe, then everybody would be always happy and feeling fulfilled. It's not always easy. It is toughest when we are faced with our challenges, and yet that is when it's most important to find the blessings. Find the blessings in your life in this moment, right? So if you have somebody that's sick, then try and figure out, okay, but so-and-so, you know, but these people are not sick and these people are healthy, so I don't have to worry about those cousins. Or, you know, my father's sick, but my mother's okay. Or, you know, and that may be really, really hard. And I'm not trying to make light of it. I was there, you know, and I lived it. And that's why I feel confident in saying this, because when Scott was home for 2 weeks and we didn't know, you know, like there was no improvement for 2 weeks and he was going downhill, I was like, I'm so grateful he's home. I'm so grateful he's home. I'm so grateful he's home, so I could be with him. And then he had to go to the hospital. Right. And so then I was like, okay, well, he's not on a ventilator. I'm so grateful that he's in the hospital and that people are taking care of him and he's in the right place for what he needs right now. I had to pick the blessings. You know, I'm so grateful that my boys are home. I'm so grateful that, you know, the guys were healthy at the time, even though we had all been sick. And even for myself, I was like, I'm so grateful that I can still manage to do things. And I was sick, but not like Scott. But I was like, I'm so grateful that I can still be here for my kids and I can get things done. And even though it was overwhelming and it felt heavy and I felt terrible and, you know, I cried my eyes out some days, I still tried to bring myself back to that moment of gratitude so that I was like, I could bring myself back into that, you know, the focus of the blessings. It's like, I'm okay right now. I can take care of my kids. I had friends who were bringing me groceries, and I know that I'm blessed for that. So those were the things that I was grateful for. And I'm certain that no matter what you're going through, you have something or someone to be grateful for. So please, 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 no matter how tough a time you're having, please try and pick out, even if it's just one thing. You know what? I'm breathing and I'm alive. There's not much else I'm looking forward to right now, but at least I'm breathing. Lead by example and pointing out your blessings. Talk about it with your kids. I talk to the kids all the time, especially when they were feeling nervous or anxious about Scott being in the hospital. We talked about, you know what? He's in a good place. He's being taken care of by excellent doctors. You know, we started a prayer circle. It was what we could do, right? To focus our energy on the healing. There's so much going on right now, so much information that people are hearing and talking about and listening to, and it's quite frankly depressing. And so one of the ways, and I'm not a super religious person. I mean, I went to Catholic school my whole life, but I pretty much kind of like abandoned the idea of religion in favor of spirituality. And obviously I'm a pretty spiritual person, but not in that dogmatic religious way. But I started praying, and it was to set the intention to help as much as I can, to contribute in whatever way I can to help the healing of the collective. Focus on being grateful for whatever you can, even if it's something that you don't have. I am grateful to be close to getting my job back. I am grateful to, you know, be able to help my children through this really challenging time, and I have faith that we'll get through this together. But you need to not judge yourself for where you are, not judge yourself for whatever you're feeling. If you're feeling anger, it's okay to be angry. If you're feeling sadness, it's okay to feel sad. If you're feeling scared, it's okay to feel scared. What I urge you to do is to not stay in the feelings that don't feel good. And as soon as you are able to get out of that and focus on the things that bring you joy, or focus on the things that you are grateful for in your life, the easier you will be able to get through this tough part and face the next step. You know, we are all in this together and nobody knows where this is headed. But the more people who hold space for all of us to get through this and heal, and the more people that feel blessed, I truly believe it will help us as a collective.
We're so glad you joined us for part 1 of Thriving with Your Family During Quarantine. We hope that you resonated with the information and that it has helped ease anything that may feel tight or uncomfortable while you're going through this time. And we look forward to sharing part 2 with you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.